A number of years ago, I took the Alpha course, and one of the questions we were asked is, "What is your oldest memory?" And I dug fairly deep, and the two oldest memories I have, the first, the oldest memory I have is when I was 2.5 years old, and my brother was born. I remember walking into the hospital with my dad, my sister, and I to go and see my little brother. And then my second oldest memory is my baptism. Now, I was baptized at the age of 4. And so I remember walking towards the font, and then that's it. Everything else kind of disappears. But birth is when we are given earthly life, or it began at conception. But we begin our earthly life. And then really, baptism gives us a sense of purpose. Our faith gives us a sense of purpose. Each and every Sunday, we have a gospel reading that we can absorb into our lives, and we can try to live out, because that becomes our purpose. Now, in our gospel reading, we have Jesus' baptism. It's very interesting that Luke gives the most detail of Jesus' younger years, but almost like just sort of brushes over baptism. And yet we recognize the importance of this as Jesus is in solidarity with each of us. But John the Baptist, prior to the baptism of Jesus, will clearly identify himself as not the Messiah, even placing himself lower than a slave in regards to Messiah. So John has great respect for the Messiah. Now, when Jesus is baptized, we have a revelation of the Trinity. Of course, the people of God or the church didn't immediately know about the Trinity, but as we read through the scriptures, we can see the Trinity all over the place. We have Jesus, the beloved Son. We have the Father's voice. "This is my beloved Son, with whom I'm well pleased." And then we have the Spirit descending by the form of a dove. What a great gift it is, But in order for as 1 John 4:16 says that God is love, in order for God to be loved, there has to be more than one person in God. That's why we can say that there's Trinity, because there is a love within God. And this love was revealed at Jesus' baptism. But, when Jesus hears the words, "This is my beloved Son," this will go back to when Jesus 12 years old, and he told his parents, "Did you not know I'd be in my Father's house?" And so Jesus once again, understands and discovers again that he is the beloved Son. Now, of course, this comes from Psalm 2:7, my beloved Son. So, kings of the time were known as little sons of God. David would have been known as the Son of God, with a small s, of course. But Jesus is the ultimate Son of God. And the second reading, the letter to Titus, really emphasizes this, that Jesus Christ was the mighty God. I mean, it just puts it right out there, no hesitation. And what a gift it is that our God would choose to live among us. But it makes sense that a relational Trinitarian God would want to relate with us from person to person, because this is who our God is. Now, of course, with whom I am well pleased, this comes from Isaiah 42:1, and the chosen one is pleased by God. But Jesus hasn't done anything, and yet we can look at our lives in the same way, that we are beloved sons and daughters of God, and God delights in us. God is pleased with us simply because we exist. This gives us a very high degree of identity. This is who we truly are, and what a great gift that is. In our first reading from the prophet Isaiah, remember, the prophet is speaking to people in exile, but God is going to come with comfort. The people messed up just like we mess up. They went their own way. They worshiped, false gods. And yet God will come with comfort. God will come with mercy. God will always meet us with mercy. I don't know if we can get that in our heads and in our hearts strong enough. but also because this God wants to restore our dignity of who we truly are. So he meets us with mercy. And God comes with great power and might, like, a strong figure, and yet he comes like a shepherd with tenderness. So we recognize that God is powerful, but God is also tender. What a blessing that is. So as we gather around the table, Lord, we gather to celebrate the gift of life, but we also gather to celebrate the gift of purpose as Jesus Christ comes to us to encourage us, to inspire us, to be with us, to show his vulnerability once again, so that we can do our part to bring this purpose, what we receive, to bring it to others so that they can be encouraged along their way of life. And may we help bring purpose to others.